Very good afternoon. We'll start in next 2 minutes, very quickly, just waiting for a few more attendees to join us. Thank you. Hello, all. Very good afternoon. So, before I start, I just wanted to know, am I audible?
Yes, Ekta.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, hello, all. A very good afternoon. Myself, Ekta Dubey, and on behalf of the Brinalytics team and our partner Compass, we welcome you all on a very interesting roundtable, which is leverage the power of automation in fintech. Before this interesting roundtable, there are a few guidelines that I would like to highlight and make you people aware of. Requesting all the attendees to be on mute when the speakers are taking the session. We would be encouraging a lot of Q&A when the panel is discussing, and we would also encourage the people to put their questions on the chat box. Once the panel is done, there are a few guidelines. You need to raise your hands, unmute yourself on your video, and put your question to our speakers, introducing yourselves. Before we move on to the roundtable discussion, I would like to introduce our partner, which is Compass AI. Compass is a software that basically gamifies your incentive programs, integrates your CRM, pick one of your interactive game templates, and publish it in less than 10 minutes. No more spreadsheets. With easy to publish game templates, leaderboards, and analytics, Compass empowers your sales manager with game like elements, rewards, recognition, and complete access to relevant information. Compass motivates your on the ground sales force to do more, and the end result is a highly energized organization with accelerated performances and sustained growth. Now, we all have gathered here for a fintech industry where we're going to talk about the best fintech automation practices to level up your UX, which is the discussion today. And I'm glad to introduce our panel speakers. We have Mr. Ankit Goenka, Head Customer Experience with Bajaj Alliance. We have Mr. Rahul Maurya, co-founder and CPO with Pret Fine. Mr. Robin Biswajit, VP and Head of Products with Liqui Loans. Mr. Vikrant Saini, Head Customer Engineering with Razorpay. Mr. Chetan Sharma is the Vice President Digital Marketing with Simple. Mr. Umang Gupta, AVP Product Growth with Neo Solutions. Mr. Ravi Kumar, AVP with Policy Bazaar. Mr. Ajay Shinoy, Chief Business Officer with Compass. And now glad to introduce our moderator who will be running the show now is Richa Vele, Manager Marketing with Compass. So thank you everyone once again. And Richa, over to you.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Ekta. And warm hello to everyone, all panelists and to all the audience participants who joined us today. Very excited to be here today. Before we start discussing about our topic, let us go through a quick round of introduction. I will call out everyone's names in no particular order. Please feel free to introduce yourselves with your career journey, etc. Mr. Ankit, can we start with you?
Sure. Thanks, Richa and Ekta, for having us here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ankit Goenka. I currently head customer experience for Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company. I've worked with companies like G Capital and IndiaIdeas.com. I've done various roles, largely customer facing, and that's about it. Let's hope to have a great session.
Thank you, Mr. Robin.
Hey, hi everyone. So my name is Robin. I've been in the BFSI industry for almost a decade now, but doing product development for probably decade and a half. So currently with Liqui Loans heading products here, but prior to this was with in the banking industry, Yes Bank and Axis Bank for almost 7-8 years, and then worked in consulting also for a couple of years. And my last assignment before this was with a B2B startup, a B2B SME focused neobank called Zigzoo. So a lot of opportunities to use technology for automation as well as a customer experience side of it. So I would like to address, the nuances around credit, customer journeys, those kind of things. I would love to, give my views and hear from everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vikrant?
Thanks, Rucha. Thanks, Ekta, for this session. So I have around 17 years of experience working in both captive and service industries. I'm currently working head customer engineering with Razorpay, managing two major verticals. Basically, one major vertical and two sub teams. One is a command center team. We built the command center team from the scratch here, and the product support engineering team. So I have experience managing level 1, level 2, level 3 operations team, building command centers for technology centers. Thank you.
Thank you. Ravi?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Richa. Thanks for inviting me in this session. So, guys, I work as State Vice President for Organic Search Marketing. I come with a rich experience of more than 1.5 decade in the digital marketing, and most of that experience was on agency side. So, I have luckily got a chance to leverage technology up to a lot of depths in order to improve the efficiency of the campaigns and all. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Umang?
Thanks, Rucha and Ekta, for having us here. I have around 10 odd years of experience into banking, fintech, and multiple industry. Currently, I'm managing the product growth piece for Neo Solutions. It's a millennial segment neo banking in the neo banking space. Prior to that, I was heading the fintech product team at Kotak Mahindra Bank. Again, on the neo banking lines, payment sides, and lending. And I have also worked with IDBI Bank, where I was heading their lending piece. Thank you for doing this interesting session here today. Let's start. Let's proceed with other.
Yes, thank you. Chetan?
Hello, everyone. I'm Chetan. I have almost 14 plus years of experience in digital marketing, and currently I'm heading digital marketing for Simple. It's a buy now, pay later product. And before this, I've spent some time with B2B lending as well. I was with Lending Card, and have been in gaming, real money gaming. Have spent decent time with Clear Trip. And before that, I've worked with a lot of startups. I was with Freecharge, I was with Taxi for Sure. And I started my career from an agency background. And from there, I moved to Times Internet. And from then, I've been working with a lot of startups, mostly all digital first, and helping them scale their customer acquisition, retention, like leveraging automation as much as possible throughout the journey from acquisition till retention is what my core expertise are.
Okay, thank you. I think Mr. Rahul has some network issues right now. So, Rahul, are you here yet?
I don't think so, Rucha. He'll join. I'll inform you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hi, Ajay.
Hi, Rucha.
Over to you.
Thank you, Rucha and Ekta, for having me on this call. It's a pleasure being here, as usual. I'm Ajay. One thing's for sure. I know there is no dearth of getting a loan right now. And if there's one thing I want to take away from this panel is I know who exactly to apply for a loan. I am a little aged compared to all of your experiences. I think I've got 23 years of experience in sales. Most sales guys say sales and marketing. I'm just not a marketing guy. Purely been in business operations and sales. I think the only thing I have in common with all of you is the fact that I started my career with Citibank, but that is the limit of my banking experience. Very quickly moved on to telecom. Was there for the longest of time. Middle of last decade, I actually had to scratch that itch of entrepreneurship. So ran my own business for 7 years and have come slam dunk back into the entire SaaS space with Zozo Day. While Ekta was kind enough to introduce Compass as a product, Zozo Day is right now, I would truly believe, one of the leaders in the whole reward and recognition piece from a 360-degree angle. With loyalty now coming in as a big part, because recently we got high investments from a company called Gift, who now becomes our parent company, and they run loyalty programs across banks and fintechs across the world. Fairly interesting stuff happening over there. I thought Zozo Day had really interesting products. Now with loyalty coming in as a piece, looking forward to this conversation. I mean, fintechs. I just love the space you guys are in. There's no change in the ground realities with regard to how fintechs operate. The building blocks are the same, but the way that customer experience has been enhanced, sales experience has been enhanced, I think is mind blowing. The way that there's been a quantum shift. Really looking forward to this conversation. And also, I must, as you have noticed, I'm garrulous. So anytime you think I'm talking too much time, we'll keep going.
Thanks, Ajay. Robin, can we start with you? Uh, so, so, what are some of the automations that you think have been very, very critical in fintech, in your experience, given the rich experience that you have? And would you like to tell us something about that?
So, thank you so much for starting with me, by the way. So, yeah, I'll talk about it more from a financial products perspective, and especially in the lending space. So, because that is one space where I've worked a lot of the digitization piece. So, it covers the entire spectrum. Starting from the lead, where you see that how do you automate the lead management piece of it. So, if you see the entire your lending process starts from the lead to the application to the credit, and then subsequently disbursement and finally collections. So automation and AI has been used extensively at all these steps. And starting from the lead part of it, so martech automation is something that has helped a lot of fintechs, not just fintechs, and the entire BFSI industry as is, because when you work at scale, you cannot be managing things manually. So the entire lead management and the digital marketing piece, we have seen a lot of success there, managing the leads very automatically in terms of attribution and in terms of outcomes, that where is this information coming from and what is the outcome that I've achieved out of it. So that's the lead part of it. When I come to the application piece of it, which is where the real customer experience part begins, a lot of automation has been done in how we can help the customer finish the journey in minimum number of steps and without filling minimum number of fields, right? And that's where the automation comes from third party APIs, in the sense that how basis one unique data point, how many fields I can actually fill up automatically. Because the idea is, and the customer behavior is shifted in such a way that the customer, so to say, today is fickle. He probably has less than 30 seconds to get interested in your page and complete the app. If you don't finish in 15 to 30 seconds, he's gone forever, right? So how do you ensure that you fill up those do the large part of that process automatically? Only thing that remains, that is authentication, which is where the manual input should come. Otherwise, the idea should be that 90% of the things you should be able to fill up automatically. The next step is probably credit. That credit is again very important part of it. So again, basis this information, how do I process this information very efficiently using tools of automation like scorecards, rule engines? Because if you see historically, the entire credit process largely in retail lending space has been manual. A credit underwriter used to put it in a table or a calculator and then say that, okay, basis this information, this is the outcome that I can offer to this guy, right? But the now most of it, and the idea is that in any good lending process, 80% of the underwriting cases should be decisioned automatically. When I say decisioned, it's either a hard yes or a hard reject. Only 20% of the cases should actually go to the underwriter, and that has led to a lot in terms of efficiency, and more importantly from a cost to income perspective. Cost of underwriting has gone down drastically, because while the automation of credit scorecards is a one time investment, but again, that saves a lot over a long period of time, right? So that's the third part. The fourth part is, again, when I come to the operation, the final dispersal link, that is where a lot of manual checks used to happen. But again, that is a repetitive kind of activity. You check that whether all the things have come or not, whether you have got all the information, whether you have got the repayment instruction and all of that or not. So all those checks today are being done today by RPA, a large part of it, especially in unsecured loans where you want to give the disbursal at the earliest, right? So a large part of the RPA piece that is happening is in the unsecured space from the operations part of it. And then subsequently, the last piece is collections. So collections, again, the automation is not is no, I will not say it's automation, because collections is a very field oriented activity. The automation there comes in form of analytics. That how do I prioritize? Let us say I've got 10 cases for collections. Which one should I uh, allocate for call center or a field activity or not? So again, historically it used to be done manually, case by case, that okay, how do I see this profile? So a lot of that again has moved to collection scorecards. So scorecards and the experience automation is something that I've seen happen very effectively across the value chain, both in banking as well as the fintech side of it. Now it's about how we take it to the next level using the various new tools that are coming in, which includes ML, which includes external sources like account aggregators. how do we use to make this a lot more robust? So yeah, that's my 2 cents to start off.
I mean, it's
Thanks.
amazing the way that one thing that really strikes me is about how you're talking about you have 30 seconds for anyone's attention to get a loan. I mean, cut across to 2 decades ago, wherein you needed at least 3 days to take an appointment with your bank manager so that if he likes you, he'll give you a loan. I mean,
Yeah, right. No, so it's actually a demand supply game. No, if I don't give it in 30 seconds, somebody else will.
I know,
Right. Yeah.
and we thought we were at the cutting edge of technology when
So
we had
that's why. So
outbound
that is
sales
comes
and guys
what's
going there
boiling
and
down
getting forms
to.
filled. It's
So
all gone.
it's boiling down to that automation is actually becoming your selling proposition. That is what is becoming your differentiator, and that's how we need to think about it. That how do I use automation and such tools to create differentiated products rather than just a enabler. Automation is no more just an enabler; it's a differentiator.
And I think some of the automation tools like when Razorpay allows you to pay from multiple sources over there. As an entrepreneur, Razorpay was my choice of a payment gateway. I mean, I have never seen such seamless service. I was a small mom and pop store, but the way that Razorpay kind of boosted business for us, it was brilliant. I mean, have to say hats off to what they're doing over there. It's really awesome.
Thanks, Ajay. So, Umang, my next question is to you. So, Robin spoke about how customers now have 15 to 30 seconds, and you've built an entire app which is based on that idea that that you make banking simple. That's the one sentence proposition of neobanks today. What is your take on that?
I would like to just discuss what we actually discussed in our friend circle and our circle. I will just, because this is an entire forum of all people from fintech only. Similar to what SaaS companies have done to replace the Microsoft Excel or spreadsheet, all of us from fintech side are also working how we can replace the banks. And one critical leg or two critical legs on those lines is removing all the inefficiencies and ensuring the funds move faster. These are the two theses all of us falls into that largely. And that's in both these two steps, which is ensuring the fund moves faster when I'm depositing or when Robin is giving the loan to his customers. The fund should move faster. Or in case of Ajay, where he wants to accept money from different customers as a merchant, money needs to move faster. So that's entire piece where all this printing industry is revolving around is removing those inefficiencies and creating the faster movement of funds. And that's where the automation actually is the driver. We are all riding on this automation. So similar to what we say for India's tech, that we are riding on Aadhaar or UPI, etc. Actually, we are riding on automation, and company like Compass, etc., can really help in achieving this automation piece over a period of time. But all we have to focus on this, how we can solve out these small pieces of inefficiencies. And every small inefficiency, because I've worked with Kotak Bank, I've worked with IDBI Bank, I know there are hundreds of inefficiencies, and each of these inefficiency is an opportunity for a fintech or a unicorn in a future date. Just solve those, start picking this, automate it, and you have a mind-boggling unicorn or a decacorn coming up for you. So I'll just
Interesting point to make, and I mean I can see Ankit also smiling, having headed a customer experience. I've always had this burning question in my mind, and since I have all of you on this panel, I wanted to ask you guys this. Fintech hasn't moved from traditional banking. We are not saying that we will give a bad customer a loan. We're not saying that we will open an account for anybody. The banking principles are still solid. We talk about the terminology of lending, disbursals, collection efficiencies, portfolio matrices and stuff. Do you think today, while we keep saying automation, fintechs are actually an extension of enhanced customer experience? The traditional banks still exist. Your State Bank of India will always be the largest bank in India. Ever since they've started consolidating, I remember in 2002 they had 10,000 branches. After all the other branches of state banks have come in, they're a behemoth. You can't replace traditional banking, but is fintech more about customer experience focus without losing the principles of basic banking? Is that what we are moving towards?
No, I agree with you, Ajay. Yes, fintechs have actually taken that lead in the entire industry to show that path the big B's, if I can just call them,
Yeah.
right? That hey, there is more to normal traditional banking,
True.
right? And today, I'll not name any bank, okay, here, but be it any bank today, okay, and when you're talking about any fintech, largely when you look at, all of them have actually become a commodity.
Correct.
Right.
Actually,
There isn't any real difference, right? The
true.
UI UX, obviously, there's going to be a difference because you have a different branding guidelines.
Yeah.
There are different set of, things that you take care. There could be certain things that a fintech may be ready to just go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
If I can just call that
Yeah.
line, that they're ready to take that risk. Whereas, the big B would say that, hey, I'm going to take a calculative risk
Yeah.
because, hey, guess what? I have years of experience in this field, right? And I know that today, if I'm going to go that path, perhaps few years down the line, I may have to shut it down,
Correct. And
right?
I don't know I can't afford the luxury of NPS going beyond what the RBI stated norms are.
Absolutely, absolutely, right. So it's a balance that you need to do, right? Fintech today, has that edge, to take that additional risk is what the way I differentiate. But largely the way I look at it, it's largely commoditized. But yes, 100% agree with you that fintech are driving the entire customer experience space, and people are learning from fintech.
Yeah, I guess they are people learning from fintech. And the other interesting part is we today talk about automations in such grand scale, but we forget the really basic building blocks that brought fintechs into contention. I mean, you're talking about telecom density increasing. We've moved from landlines. I don't think anyone has a landline anymore. We're on mobile phones. The mobile phone screens have gotten bigger, smaller, more enhanced, and accessibility is there. Smartphone penetration in tier 2 cities has been faster growing than in tier 1 and metro cities. Accessibility to funds. With a very interesting customer just today. I mean, it's month end, and Rucha always brings me into these panels on month end. So customer will be always on focus. But interesting customer we signed up today who's extending banking and other government services like Aadhaar signups and things like that. And even basic banking services at a retail store in hinterland. So if you remember back in 2000 and odd, HUL and the Godreges of the world said we're going to do the hub and spoke model, get out there for FMCG distribution into the rural market. Nobody could crack it. I mean, they tried it, they tested. Fintech is going berserk over there, backed by government policy which enables it. They're going out there with, when you have now Aadhaar cards. I think I hated it when I was a youngster. The CIBIL rating, which I think everybody goes after to ensure viability of loan dispersal. Access to data like that with almost a centralized credit rating. You sometimes wonder why didn't the big Bs adopt to these methods on their own? And you don't have to talk about PSU banks, private banks. You take the Amazons of the world. They have some of the largest payment systems. Why did Paytm become big? I mean,
trust me, Ajay. When this entire CIBIL was getting kind of stabilized, okay, and I was at that point in time heading credit underwriting for a large bank, which was SBI card, right? So I remember, right, while CIBIL was there, but we actually had to fight with CIBIL and the other banks, the other big banks, to actually get that entire process standardized and start sharing that data much more often.
Yes.
Right, because this was the time when when you send a inquiry of 100 customers to CIBIL, the hit rate used to be not even in double digits.
No, never. I mean, your acceptance rates, if they were in double digits, you were lucky. Today, if your rejection rates are more than 20%, fintech say no, this is not good business. I'm astounded by the acceptance rates today.
In fact, today when I look at my current organization, which is Bajaj Allianz General Insurance, we are a great promoter of digitization and automation. Just for reference, we are right now number 8 globally when it comes to the digital insurer.
Wow.
Right. And we were, in fact, few years back, we were the first one in the entire general insurance industry. We said that we're going to have virtual branches. Right. And we actually said virtual sales office.
Gosh.
Right. We got them registered as our virtual sales office. There were people not talking about pandemic. I'm talking about 5 years prior to pandemic,
Wow.
right? We had our people with the tabs, and their office was tab,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
End to end that they need to do, from marking their attendance, because that is their office.
No,
Right? We were talking about
I'll back you
pandemic
up on
now.
that. I mean, when we started Compass as a product, Bajaj Alliance was one of the first people who put their hands up. They knew that we had a very nascent product about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Your teams worked very closely with us and helped shape this product, which makes it kind of relevant today. Today, I go out in the market, thump my chest saying, we're relevant in BFSI, fintechs, we're across the board in banking. But it was the initial stakeholders like Bajaj Alliance, Bharti AXA, Future Generali, who helped us shape this product. I always tell my founders, I think we bit off a little more than we could chew 2 years ago. You don't jump into general insurance with a nascent product. I mean, the complexity involved.
Because there are too many products. It's too many complexities that are there. You have motor, your health, your pet, your home.
And motor kills me. I mean, health and life is easy. Motor, private to commercial, commercial में tonnage to number of wheels to seating to engine capacity to loading, and then after you've solved all these complexities, you have the whole bottom line saying RTO based ODTP ratios. I'm like, dude, that doesn't work. It always befuddles the mind. Everybody talks automation. We're talking portfolio dynamics as automation. We're talking about loan disbursals, credit worthiness, cutting short and all that, customer experience being enhanced. I always ask every panel of mine, and I've been in panels across sectors, supply chain panels, CFO panels. I'm there like, one of those jack of all trades. Always ask people, you said virtual offices, but those virtual offices were sales guys. Till date, where has automation made the salesperson's life easier? The collection guy's life easier? The call center person's life easier? Where is that?
No, I can vouch for that, because you mentioned call center, right? I'll just pick that. Okay. The brutal fact, Ajay, is that when we look at call centers and the agents, right, they are the least paid in the entire pyramid.
Correct.
Right? We want them to be aware and equipped with each and every information and product knowledge. Right? They become the face of the organization, in a way, virtual face, so to say, right? Right. But the least that we trust is those guys.
Correct.
Right.
We give them scripts. We don't let them.
We give them scripts, and trust me, with Bajaj Alliance, one thing, when I took over, one thing from our call center is there are no scripts. There is no AHT.
Okay.
Right. I've actually removed the entire AHT funda. Right. The only funda is experience.
Wow.
Right. You need to solve the worry. Right. Now it's going to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours.
No problem.
Beat. Right. Just go ahead and solve it. Now, if you are able to solve the worry, that's truly living caringly yours, which is our tagline.
I was going to ask you, Ankit, how is it that a credit underwriter is handling customer experience today? You would have been your earlier job the biggest problem for customer experience, and you're handling.
I've like you said, Ajay, I've actually done a lot of profiles. I've been into payments. Like I've been with India Ideas and all the Bharat Pay payment, Google Pay, Amazon Pay, and all those stuff. I worked on that. Right. Trade underwriting, I spoke. I have managed courier companies. Right. I manage, the basic, account management. Right. So I've actually done a bit.
I have one thing over you. I'm a farmer also, so I grow my own plants.
But coming back, call center, yes. The true automation would be when you are able to enable your call center agents.
But we do enable.
You need to, yeah.
Ankit,
I know we do enable. I'm not saying that we don't enable, but in general, I said that people, in the market, because I've met a lot of them, still, I see people with their call center agents, the kind of behavior and the kind of empowerment they want to give, right? It's still, they are spectacle, right? They're going to say that, hey, let's not do that. Let it go to a back-end team, let them do it, right? And automation can actually, help all of this.
All of it.
So automation from the perspective of resolving the issues in the first hand, right? You just mentioned that resolve it, right? You don't have to you don't have to pass on the baton to somebody else. So I think before the call center agents, before human touch actually comes into experience or comes into picture, there are chatbots which are already there, which are already present. Not to an extent that they can solve the problems by themselves, but I think to an extent we still have an automation in place.
Yeah.
I still want to talk about what Ajay mentioned. The banks are still the platform. Banks are still at the grassroots level. They are still there, but UPI NPCI has actually taken, I mean, it's taken a different route altogether. And I think most of the countries outside of India is actually looking for how UPI is actually working in India. I mean, with 2 rupees you can make a digital payment, right? And that's something which was a revolution.
Correct.
Right. So I think banks, we are not going to replace the banks. Yes, I think we'll still be there, but all the fintech companies are basically based on or based between your end users and the banks. What banks? So I really like the word inefficiencies, which Umang has mentioned, right? I think those inefficiencies, each fintech company is actually picking it up, consolidating it, making it a product which reduces the time to serve for any customer, right? And I think that is the whole thing of, and by that fintech thing coming, most of the companies are actually coming AI and ML. They're also getting their product set up. So I just want to talk about one automation which we have done. Since I'm coming from the customer engineering space, none of the day goes without tickets, without incidents in my life, right? So it's all incidents. And so starting from the call center, since you guys are talking about call center, starting from the front line of defense people, we have chatbots to an extent, right? But trust me, the human touch, the response, if it is going from a person who is sitting there, it's much more acceptable as compared to somebody who is automating it and sending it via chatbot. Then comes so there is a process which is known as an incident management process, right? And if you talk about major incidents, it's called major incident management process in the industry. So we have automated it within Razorpay. What we have done is we had some outages, we had some major issues last year, wherein the payments were down for some amount of time and we lost a lot of revenue. And then what we have done, we have collected a team. We have automated the major incident management process, wherein we have used some of the tools which are available in the market, right from alert triggering and getting the issue resolved, right? All those steps which were manual, which other industries are doing it manually, right? Monitoring the systems manually 24/7. They have the 24/7 team sitting, then creating an incident, opening a call, getting all the stakeholders on the call, sending the communications to the business, to the technology stakeholders. So all these items, what we have done, we have used multiple tools to automate each step. Now we have achieved some of the metrics, like mean time to acknowledge any alert. It is actually less than 1 minute in Razorpay. Mean time to engage any team is less than 2 minutes, right? Which is, if you go out in the industry, it is around 15 minutes to 30 minutes. So that is the power of automation we are talking about in Razorpay. And we are basically bringing all our SLAs down every quarter, more stringent, so that let's see if we can resolve issues much more quicker, which are at the platform level. So I'm talking about something which is occurring at the platform level, not a single merchant issues.
Mhm.
Those are still, we still need a lot of automation there.
No, that is for sure. I mean, I was just talking to my technology team, and exactly like how you do incident management. For us, it's very important, especially because we're dealing with sales teams, and you know how sales guys are, right? Prima donnas. They all think that
Yes.
मैंने धंधा किया है तो मुझे पैसा अभी मिलना चाहिए, and you can't argue with those guys. I've been one of them. I am one of them for the last 2 decades. But they were also talking about how there are these standardized tools that have come in. I think your Kafka, your Airflow, that allows you, and from an ELK perspective, how you actually monitor these systems. It takes me back to 2007, 2008, I think, when there was that hurricane that was about to hit New York, and Goldman Sachs was migrating all their businesses from, and I was with Vodafone at that time. They were migrating all their businesses from New York offices to the Bangalore offices because London was too close in time zone for them. There are three major global offices. I still remember 4 o'clock in the morning getting a frantic call because they all had Blackberries. I don't know how many of you ever used Blackberries at that time.
So at that time, I was working with MX, and MX was also into
MX
that.
was also on Blackberries, yes. And Blackberries were their monitoring tool because they were looking at process migration. And it was about 4 hours or 5 hours before I think Hurricane Irene was supposed to hit New York, and they were planning a complete blackout and shutdown. I kid you not, that entire transfer went for a complete 6 for the simple reason that some engineer in Chennai office flipped a switch on our data center. We actually reset the entire system, which went down for 4 hours. And those are the 4 hours that migration was happening. And it was, everybody's going nuts because there is no way data would go down. And you must remember, these are the days that we were on edge. We were not on 4G or 3G had just come in. We were all on edge, which was 2.5G. For the systems to go down from the managing director level all the way down, everybody impacted. I guess that's why you're talking about these standard tools, which are now, monitoring your processes, optimizing your processes, but more importantly, giving you advance warning of what failures could come.
Proactive rather than reactive. Absolutely.
A simple question actually over here, and Rucha, I'm sorry, I'm stealing your thunder here, but this is a very interesting group, and I never get these answers if I go meet them one-on-one also. Fintechs all design their own systems, right? And whenever you see a customer need, you see a customer issue, like you said, an inefficiency, you build an automation by yourself. And I think today we're still in the nascent stage where everybody's building their own systems. Do you see at some point of time a consolidation and a standardization of these systems? I know it might cause, loss of the edge in the market, but over a period of time, do you see consolidation of these systems or standardization?
The acquisitions and mergers will definitely happen. It is happening with Razorpay also. We have acquired one company in Malaysia, one in Pune. So I think it's the same. It's the same strategy which industry was following from so many years, right? This industry is now blooming slowly. It will start acquiring some of the small companies, and you will have some major players in the market, and then rest will be normalized. I think that is how the strategy will go in the future. Fintech.
So Ajay, in my view, it's also a build versus buy decision. All right, that what is your priority at that point of time?
True.
And a lot of time it so happens that certain use cases are very repetitive across organizations, and there are certain use cases which are very specific to that organization. What typically happens and how decision making I do typically do that whatever is very specific to my organization, I would rather build it out. But if it's a standardized use case, I would rather buy it from a decently sized vendor and implement it, because it will be much faster in the market, because ultimately agility matters. Right? So it's a very strong build versus buy decision, and the answer could be a yes or a no, depending upon the use case that you're working.
Okay.
Also, I would like to add that since most of the fintechs are still in the beginning phase, because we are just 5-7 years old into the entire system, we are all experimenting with newer thoughts. Everyone is experimenting with newer things. This might work. This, if I solve for this, this might work. So there's a need. So people are all into different directions. Over a period of time, some use cases will emerge, which will be like common across the industry, etc. And that's where you will see consolidation happening. That okay, yeah, these are the 10 solutions which everyone will take from market, and rest they might continue to build it up. So that's the phase will come over a period of time.
That's where you'll find companies like Zozoday relevant, where we have standard incentive management systems, we have loyalty management systems, and it's all subject to only the power of your thought. So you can go there and conceive new loyalty programs. We'll bring it to life.
For example, think of it, Jira for all practical purposes, it's a tool for automation of the product development process, right?
Correct.
Right. And over a period of some Atlassian built Jira for their own internal purposes and later on productize it. And today it's an industry standard. So I
It
sort of
is.
agree
we
with
are
Umang.
using Jira for incident management. Trust me, ServiceNow is an industry standard, right?
Yeah.
But
I hate the word Jira. Every time I go to my product guys and say, "Are you building this?" They're
seriously,
like,
trust
"Is it
me,
in
trust me.
Jira?"
And I have to. I mean, when I propose that we have to bring in some ITSM tool to bring in these processes, incident management, problem management, right? They were like, you have Jira, whatever customization you can do with, we are not going to move to any other tool. So we actually modulated Jira based basis how incident management works, right? So now we are using Jira for incident and problem management. Trust me, ServiceNow is like behind us that if they can get onboarded, but
Yeah.
we are still managing Jira.
Jira.
That's the same story with Slack.
Slack.
I was
Yes.
about to say that.
It's a content management tool now. It's not a messaging tool anymore.
I mean, it's so powerful across the board with all these standardized tools that have come out.
Yeah.
That from our business also today, when we are running employee engagement, for example, our employee engagement tool is called Impulse. We're integrated with a Slack. We're integrated with a Microsoft Teams. We integrate with their Active Directories. The reason is that, like you guys are saying, customers do not have the patience to relearn. They want their environments and for us, the customers are your internal employees. I mean, they are very used to a certain environment. They want to live in that environment. They don't want to get out of it. And senior management is also very clear. I don't want people checking WhatsApp while on the floor or in the field. All those integrations have become it's become de rigor for us. We don't go into the market unless you have those integrations in place. It's absolutely astounding how, like you said, an in-house tool gets productized and then becomes an industry standard. After that, there is no way that you can escape it.
I would just like to add 2-3 pointers to this, Ajay. So like you said, right, the entire fintech generally industry starts with a problem statement because whole banking system had some problems and issues, right, in terms of the time taken to be it opening an account or taking a loan or to whatever, right, you can think of. Now that's the starting point. Now, especially when it comes to us, so we are in like a microfinancing kind of space, right, where the amount of money that we are giving out is like ranging from 2,000 rupees to like 20,000 rupees, right?
Okay.
Which means that there is no system in place which is ready to evaluate a customer basis this. I'm not going to check CIBIL score because a lot of my customers don't even probably they've just started working. They don't have credit history at all.
You don't have a track record at all.
Yeah, so even if we do today a CRIF check or a CIBIL check, for me the hit rate is still low, right?
Okay.
So now what we are doing in turn is that we have our own probability of default score, and how we've built it is we rely on digital footprint of all our customers, right? We are integrated with all the merchants like Zomato, Dunzo, Big Basket, right? How do you behave on all of these platforms? What's your return rate? What's your default rate or whatever is happening across? So we are live on we are in fact working with Razorpay as well. We are directly integrated with a lot of merchants, as well as we are live with a lot of aggregators like Razorpay, JustPay, and Cashfree and all, right? Where we are working with them to get more and more data, and basis that we are also building this, which to like later on we might open it up as an API for anybody else to access, right? To decide whether they want to give a better differentiate the customer experience within their customer base, right? Depending on this score, right? So this is something that we use to decide how much credit limit should I give you. And for me, the onboarding doesn't even take 30 seconds. We just ask you to verify your mobile number and that's it, you're done. Right.
But look at what I was saying. You haven't deviated from the basic principles of banking. Earlier, you had to give your bank statement because your bank statement was your horoscope of kitta paisa is coming in, where are you spending it, and how are you spending it. You have gone out into the market. You have tied up with the entire digital infrastructure which is available, and you're actually seeing at merchant level where are they spending. It's an absolute use case that we use in loyalty today. So at loyalty basis, a bank, for example, or a fintech wants to disburse funds to a customer, or in the credit card company space, they want usage of their credit cards. We are now going the reverse route. We like to tie up with aggregators or merchant enablers like Razorpay and other units, wherein at merchant level, usage of a particular credit card would also give you merchant generated loyalty scores. So a person who's got reward points on their credit card because of spends elsewhere can go to a Zara store, and because that card in a Zara store would give them 5% as cashback from Zara as a merchant, automatically that credit card gets used. And that's what banks and kind of hook onto our systems to get that loyalty done. But it's exactly what you're saying. You're trying to define the spend patterns of the customer and generate his credit worthiness. So amazing how it's going. But again, it just comes back to the whole bank statement that we used to have.
Correct. It's just that we are making it a little more easier rather than asking customers to you tell me that what all do you do. We have integrated with partners to get all that data, right?
And I can see a future, like you said, if you're going to give an API out for this big data, which was big in 2000 to 2010, is going to just get bigger because you're going to now have merchants vying for that data, saying, who are the guys on Zomato that Swiggy can actually take over and push offers to them? It's going to be quite a war, I'm thinking, going forward.
Yeah. So there's one more thing that we are doing on the merchant side, though. So this is on the customer side, right? Mm-hmm. On the merchant side, the challenge is we do see a lot of frauds happening on the merchant front, where because we give credit so easily, right? We've seen people creating sites, fresh sites, and then asking customers to just buy and pay via Simple, and will not ship the order, and we'll give you X amount of money back to your accounts, right? So a lot of these kind of frauds are happening, because of which now we are working on automating a lot of merchant onboarding as well, which will take care of the IPs, the traffic, again, something which is not easily available. The kind of products that they are selling on their site, how frequently is it getting updated? Do they have customer support system in place or not, right? So we are building that right now to make
sure. And again, digitally.
Yes. So that, because today, the way merchant onboarding was happening was, we have a form. Anybody who is interested will fill up the form, right? The agent will check the site, probably will try and call the number, and that's about it, and figure out whether should we allow this merchant or not. But just to make that also as a little easier, we are automating a lot of this stuff by scraping the data regularly, understanding is there any change, or is the same IP being used to create multiple sites or not, the kind of traffic the site is getting, right? So there are multiple checkpoints. So we have a list of like 160 items which gets automatically checked today. Wow. And that at least reduces a lot of load on that the BD guy, right? Where they are just like I think one of the panelists suggested, right? It's like hard no or yes. All of that happens automatically. Only few cases then gets assigned to the agents, where they then just do a check where it's like an edge case where we're trying to understand, do we want to allow this product, this site is selling this product, right? Mm-hmm. Is it okay or not? We don't know. So that is what goes in manual review. So we are also building on that side as well. So automation is happening on both sides.
Wow.
Covering the risk in merchant onboarding, right?
Sorry?
Covering the risk which comes in merchant onboarding.
Fact, we were in talks with Razorpay as well to understand what you guys are doing, if we can leverage that as well, into incorporate that in our system as well. Right? Today, because we are one of the payment options in Razorpay as well, right? When you go to pay later, you see Simple as one of the options there. So, and we do get a lot of merchants where we have not directly integrated, but because Razorpay is integrated there, so obviously Simple by default will be enabled, right? So, in that context, we're working with Razorpay as well to see if we can have a lot more better understanding, and we can also pass that data back to Razorpay and get more insights from Razorpay as well, so that we can help each other, right? None of us wants bad merchant on the platform. So yeah, we are working very closely.
But Razorpay also has their own creditworthiness tracking, right? Because I remember,
we do have, yeah,
as a merchant, moment my transactions became steady state and fairly regular, then I started getting these invites saying that we can give you this much operating capital, and it was a subset of my. It was almost like what I remember a classmate of mine did, securitization of future earnings.
Yeah, that's right. So that is how I think you also do the same thing, right? When you onboard a customer, I think how that customer is providing the organic growth through the Razorpay is one of. So there is a special teams who basically sit and take care of the customers after onboarding, yes. Right? After the warranty period is over, the warm up period, then we have different best practices which we want customers to. I mean, one of the things is optimizer, right? It's one of the product which which Razorpay is selling at the large, right? Optimizer, you have gateways, different gateways, right? So which gateway is actually giving you maximum success rate at that particular time? Optimizer will actually route your transaction via that. Right. So Razorpay will be getting less as compared to if the transactions are going directly via Razorpay, but it's a feature which it's a product which is useful to the customers outside. So we're bringing, and then one of the product is.
Thank you. Hi, Ravi. So good to have you back here.
Hey, Rucha. First of all, I am so sorry. There was my system crashed, and which is why I was absent for last 20 minutes. And I would like to tell you all how excited I am to share this panel with you guys. I am so sorry I did not have the context what was going on because I was not there for last 20 minutes.
We were just talking all across the board, Ravi. You didn't miss much. You can start talking and it'll still be relevant to our conversation because we've been all over right now.
Amazing.
Yes. So Ravi, everyone has been speaking about automations at their organizations and how it has actually impacted the entire fintech space here. Would you like to add on to that?
Look,
about a few automations at Policy Bazaar?
Yeah, of course. Automations are always, I always back for automation in any industry. And in fintech, it's more important. In fact, I would say, and it would not be wrong, like in India, we are kind of creating a great impact in fintech industry. We have introduced UPI payments, and which is one of the most secure payment model in the world, right? So we are going way ahead than most of the countries. Now, while we are talking about automation, we should also understand the kind of time we are living in, right? A couple of years back, there was a COVID impact. There are a lot more things happened, like work from home model being adapted, remote working, etc., etc. Now, automation allows you to increase efficiency in such kind of models as well. Automation can help you improvise your lead acquisition, basically conversion of the leads. You can create a proper flow channel, and you can increase the lead conversion rate. There's no lag. You just need to implement a smart CRM, and it can help you in improvising the performance on the leads, right? So while talking about CRM, with the help of automation, there it's also like a managing relationship with customer has also improved further. A customer has filled up a inquiry form, or some sort of support is being needed for that customer, right? You can create automated responses basis upon that. You can introduce chatbots basis upon understanding past queries, right? And that's how you can, with the help of very few customer care executives, you will still be able to help a lot of customer, right? And as I'm coming from marketing background, then I'll go to marketing side. So irrespective of whatever and how much good your product is, if you do not market it well, right, it does not reach to user, and it does not ease their life, right? And about in marketing, I believe you all have extensive experience from different organizations. Chetan also comes from a marketing background, so he'll back me up. In marketing these days, automation has played a humongous role. So you can run ads which are programmatic, right? A lot of number of SKUs you will be able to manage with the programmatic ads. You do not need manpower to manage that kind of big ads campaigns. Along with that, you can put a lot of reporting and tracking matrix, which help you analyze the performance, and in case if something goes wrong, you get timely alert and you can work on it. So it increased the efficiency of the product. It increased the reach of the product to the consumer. It increased the profitability of the business model. So I would say automation is the like thing to go for every industry, is even if it's not fintech even, right? And so that's what are my thoughts about automation.
Thank you so much
Briefly.
for that, Ravi. Audience, we have a few questions from the audience. So Arvind says, this is an open question to the panel since we are talking about bringing automation in fintech and BFSI. What is your take on automation for compliance and regulation reporting process? Anyone? Vikrant, Ankit?
I would say equally important. Okay. Because what we have seen over these years is all these compliance and regulatory reporting, right? They're standardized, so to say, right? They're not going to change, just like that, right? So, and you talk about a lot of system automation, across the journeys, which are customer facing. People talk about employee facing and all. But I guess this is very relevant, right? Compliance and regulatory reporting automation is a brilliant use case, right? That everyone should look at, and it's a no-brainer, frankly. Right? You just
But
go ahead
As basic as your
do it.
KYC norms.
You just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
yeah, I think the outsourcing is another part of. I mean, we need to evaluate the risks of outsourcing some compliance thing outside the organization. But compliance is definitely which is mandatory. You cannot onboard your merchants without doing a background check, right? There are so many businesses which are in the market as of now, and they can just come, they can just online integrate with your payment aggregator, and then you don't know from where the payment started flowing and all those things. So that is so there is a whole code of conduct which is already written. But yes, if automation, yes, from me, but outsourcing is we need to look. I don't know.
We still need our compliance officer to say yes on it, because we are liable for that risk. Otherwise, they're not going to help it. We have to comply with AML laws. We have to comply with KYB laws. Even though there are customers who are giving us funds to pay out their own employees, under regulations, we need to file KYB. We need to file under AML. It's like I said, the world hasn't changed with regard to banking and regulations or finance. What has changed has been the way that we have approached it. KYC norms, which was earlier a form with a photograph, signature across it, has now moved to a digital form with you can take a snapshot of of yourself on your camera and put a digital signature. Invoicing has become such a revelation. Earlier, when dealers and outsourced partners had to raise invoices on you, today companies come to us wherein we actually drive invoicing outwards. They just acknowledge it, put their digital signature in, and it's all done. GST is being deducted, and if it needs to be, GST has been applied in a relevant sense. That automation has completely blown the mind of the number of people required to do that job in the first place, and the time it took to do that
Yeah,
job.
it's a time reduction for each step. The basic building block is still the same. The basic thing.
Actually,
Let me add one small perspective to this, especially forward-looking perspective from a lending fintech point of view. So if you look at last 3-4 months, the burden of compliance is also only going to increase from here. If you see the recent RBI actions, RBI is also pushing towards fintechs getting a lot more regulated. So what used to happen for the last 4 or 5 years, that the responsibility of compliance and correspondingly compliance reporting used to stay with the regulated entity, whether it was a bank or an NBFC. But now with RBI coming more towards regulation of fintechs, as more and more fintechs move towards becoming regulated entities, the role of compliance reporting and automation of the same at fintechs is only going to increase in the next 3 to 4 years.
True, and I guess it's all under the Consumer Protection Act that it's also coming out from,
Yeah.
wherein that would be driven largely. That's what drives the regulator, and I guess
Yeah.
that's why it takes that amount of time for them to understand what is the repercussion in the market, because a new idea in the market, and I guess that's why we live in very interesting times, wherein we are allowed to innovate, we are allowed to think, and then it's only later on that the regulator comes in. And I don't think they were really addressing a black or white issue. They were addressing a gray issue. In fact, in the latest regulation. And I think the old
so that's what. In
yeah.
fact, see, my view on that specifically is that it's only good for the sustainability of the entire ecosystem in the long run.
Exactly.
Right? You can only play on the edge of the regulation for a certain period of time, not beyond that. Right?
True.
Once you become, how to say it, meaningful or material to the entire ecosystem, obviously there will be defining guidelines which you'll have to play by, and that essentially is a good news for the fintech ecosystem, that yes, fintech ecosystem is now material. It is important to the overall economy, and if we have to scale up 25x or 50x 100x from here, we have to work within a certain, how do I say, Lakshman Rekha, to
And
ensure
also
that
keep
everything is under
increasing the
control.
floor. Yeah, and
Yeah,
increasing the floor at the,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you. Umang, you were saying something?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the similar point. It's not just a small use case when it comes to automation for regulatory. It's a must because, as highlighted by Robin also, we are going to face more and more such requirements, and you can't continue with your manpower. Find a way to automate it so that you, as well as the industry, can keep on growing and growing, because there will be far more needs for automation. And when the regulator is also collecting, they also need to automate it because they're collecting now too much data. So they also need to automate how they are going to check it. So yeah, on both sides, there's a need for automation there. And it's an
Thank
urgent.
you.
I have a
Yep.
question for
Thank you.
Ankit. Ankit, you are one of
Yeah.
the few OEMs, if I can call you one, an OEM in this business. How are you from your organization embracing this whole fintech era? For example, we work with people like Policy Bazaar, Renewbuy. I'm sure these are all extended channels for you. But
Absolutely.
how does the OEM view this? Aside from the typical, I'm getting expansion, I'm getting
Yeah, sure.
yeah, but
There
how
are
is it?
lot many things to learn, frankly, Ajay. As I said at the beginning as well, right? And there is no, I'm not ashamed of saying that fintechs are leading this,
Mhm.
entire customer experience. That's what I said at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
Now, when you believe in that, partnering with a fintech and working with them, it's a no-brainer,
correct.
right? Again, right? Because you want to learn from them, you want to work with them and grow. For example, Yellow.ai. Okay,
Yeah,
one of we were one of the you know partner for them at the beginning, right? Today, Yellow AI, we all know where they have reached, right?
yeah,
Right, and they do a lot of things for us, right? When it comes to the entire automation on the AI front, right?
true.
So we are absolutely open, right?
So you're
And
willing to invest behind these.
absolutely, we have done that. And I'm not just saying it,
Yeah,
right? Over these years, we have done that, right?
And I think
Our motor on the spot, claim settlement for a motor business, where you can just few clicks and photographs, up to 30,000 rupees, we settle on the spot the claim,
wow.
right? And that we have done with the help of, you know, these new age players. Yes,
Okay.
there was a lot of data that we had, because the entire AI framework needs to have that data.
That data in the
Right?
background.
Yeah. So obviously we are in the business for the last 20 odd years,
Yeah.
right? So we've used that power of that data, we put it on cloud, right?
Mhm.
And then we had these partners who helped us to build that.
And you're willing to go that path. I was always curious because I deal with a lot of partners in the general insurance space, and one of the, I think, biggest problems, especially for multi-brand brokers,
Yeah.
as they're called, is this whole pay in and pay out model that they have, and the pay in being such distinct differences between their multiple OEMs who have got differentiated pains, and then
Yeah.
how they channelize it because they're building infrastructure completely. And some of the use cases that we get is as simple as they say motor insurance, they change the policy every month and it'll come to us as WhatsApp. I'm like, there has to be some streamline. So I was wondering, I was very curious. OEMs are also thinking of, and I'm sorry, I call you
Oh, yeah,
OEM,
we are. No,
but
that's absolutely fine. No, but Ajay, the only point or the caveat that we put it on the table whenever we deal with any of the new fintechs is, let's see, we have 11 crore customers
correct.
with us, right? And we can't play with them. There's no way, right? We can take that huge risk. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. At the same time, we don't want to do automation or digitization just for a hobby.
Fair
Right.
point.
For
Fair point.
us, it has to be at scale. Right. So if a solution is good enough to be scaled to our 11 crore customers, we are ready to take that risk.
And
go ahead.
obviously in a positive direction.
In a positive direction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think Bajaj, they are basically, so I know this because I was the part of that group. Razorpay was building a UPI application for Bajaj, right? Just for Bajaj internal industries, so that it was called a UPI in a box, basically, the The whole project is there. Just that the Google Pay is there, right? You can actually download it. It is available in the market. You can go and download it from iOS or Android, and you can start transacting from that application.
As a Bajaj employee.
No, you can do it outside of
Bajaj Pay.
Bajaj, okay, Bajaj Pay. Achha.
So it's like Google Pay.
Oh, so damn cool. So Bajaj said, we're not going to build it. Razorpay will build it for us and we will launch it in the market.
Yeah. So they basically want to use it internal to all the transactions which is happening within Bajaj Industries.
Oh, nice.
So I think, Ankit, somewhere, automation.
We are absolutely open, right? And that's the answer, right? But as I said, again, going to repeat that scale is critical.
Scale is important.
Yeah.
I will be knocking your doors for your Salesforce. Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to translate customer experience that you do to your Salesforce. That's where I'm coming from.
Sure.
Thank you. So Sarvesh has the next question. This is in respect to Arvind's question and Vikrant sir's response. If the automation in compliance, let it be CYKC or AML, is outsourced to third-party vendor, then wouldn't that be more efficient than to do it in-house?
Yep. The answer is yes, definitely. So you have to strategize what are things you're basically outsourcing. Parts, chunks definitely can be outsourced. Not at the cost of risk or compliance at your own organization. So you have to be sure that whatever you're outsourcing, you have enough controls there as well.
And frankly, the way I see
always been a case. Yeah. It's always been outsourced. It's just that
the way I see, Ajay, is that what works for you, right? So there is no right or wrong answer, frankly.
Correct.
Right? You need to weigh your eggs and say that, hey, this works for me in my organization, for my customers, for my employees, my partners, within the compliance framework and the regulatory framework wherein I work within. If it works, go ahead, do it.
Yeah. And I outsourcing of these processes have always been in place, whether it was paper forms or digital form. It's just that end of the day, no matter how much you outsource, liability will still lie with you. So you have to have your checks and balances in place. So if
if you have 11 crore customers today, as we speak right now, yes, KYC is not mandated for general insurance.
Correct.
Right. But let's say tomorrow it gets mandated. Right. And it gets mandated, for us to take KYC, right back, right?
Which is usual.
So we were talking about 11 crore customers today with Bajaj and general insurance.
Yeah.
And if you need to do a KYC check on all of that, manual, no. Can we do it in-house? We need to create one more company.
Company called KYC. Yeah.
Company called KYC to really run it in-house, right? So yes, outsourcing, right? While it's going to be a very big compliance, right? If it's get mandated, right? So,
I mean, think about it. If you look at banking did not allow outsourced vendors to do account opening and fixed deposit gathering. It needed to be signed off by an account manager within the bank or a relationship manager who was employed by the bank. But today, your companies like Quest and your other manpower units have got fleets of people on the street absolutely doing this kind of sourcing, but also within the gamut of the regulatory framework. While there are
you look at PAN cards, Ajay, you look at PAN cards way back. I'm not talking about 10 years back. I'm talking about some 3 decades back. Okay, the PAN card processing has been into outsourcing for so many years. Okay, the government doesn't do that. I'm not talking about the current government. I'm talking about the erstwhile government as well. Right?
My passports are done by TCS forever now.
Absolutely. Right?
And that's your identity.
That's the biggest compliance if you really look at as a citizen, right? One is your passport, the other is when you talk about the PAN card.
Yeah, again, if you have enough controls which are there, you can always
outsource it.
Yeah. I know. I think we are going ahead towards outsourcing, but there was a dip in outsourcing since all the captives came to India. Companies, all the banks, right? MX, Ameriprise, you had Wells Fargo, Barclays, Deutsche Bank. Everybody started opening their own captive unit. They started insourcing their employees, which were all outsourced earlier. Companies like TCS, Infosys suffered a lot because these banks have started pulling out accounts from their branch locations. I think the time will again come. I think because now Indian companies are growing at a pace wherein they will definitely need an outsourcing. So I think I mean, the thing will change. I mean, what the kind of work will change. It will not be like what they were doing earlier, but outsourcing will still be there.
I think we're going through that cyclical route. Earlier, we were just bums in seats. Now we're knowledge workers and we're going through that whole route. So we're actually adding value back.
And Ajay and everyone, my take on outsourcing, final bit, the way I look at it is, as an organization, you are expert in doing X thing.
Yeah.
Right. So you do that in-house.
Correct.
For others, there are experts available in the market. Please outsource.
Outsource, yes. Like your incentive commission calculations,
we'll talk about that.
Disbursal to agents. All that is go with the experts in the field.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I think after 3 or 4 lines, right, Ajay has that sales thing coming in because it is there in the DNA.
I look at the time and I'm like, oh, it's month end. It's month end. We have to get some
one more prospect added to the list on the month end, right?
Six. Every panelist.
See, Rucha is also doing that, right? So she's waiting for, doing that.
That's Rucha's singular care. Rucha always tells me, you must come on this panel. I'm like, what am I going to talk on this panel? These are all fintech experts. She's like, boss, you get on the panel. I will give you 6 new prospects. After that, the job is yours. It's a marketing qualified lead for her.
We are actually looking out for a partner for working on the rewards program.
Ajay, you got it. Conversion, not even a lead.
Not a lead. No, but Simple, yes, we've been actually flirting with Simple around the whole place. The thing is that we're also.
And I'm a great fan of Simple, Chetan. I must admit that.
It's one of those.
I really like the way you have built your entire UI UX and the entire processes and the way you have gone with it. I really love it.
Nice.
In fact, one of the core value at our company is like best experience is no experience at all. We don't want people to experience anything, right? You been to some place, you want to make payment, one click done. You don't have to even come to my site or app. You don't have to see my face unless it's necessary. So
it's much better than adding let's say if you are doing a Swiggy or a Zomato, it's much better to add Simple as a payment method by default than adding your UPI or adding any card or anything else.
Right.
We can have interesting discussions on that because I've seen some of the loyalty programs that work for BNPL very well, especially on large merchant sites like your Amazons and Flipkarts of the world, where we actually have our own little browser extension, which is owned by a company like Simple. And if you send it out to all your customers or your existing customers, every time they go on to a shopping site, it will automatic or a Google site searching for say washing machines, it will throw out various options from different sites available. And at the payment checkout point, your BNPL will come in over there very clearly saying pay now, and these are the kind of cashback rewards you can get. These are the kind of loyalty points you can earn. The whole system is a regenerating environment. Something which is very
yeah. And I guess, I don't know, but we all have got into a very, if I can call it informal chai pe charcha kind of a stuff. I don't know, audiences are loving it or liking it or not, because I see some, message from, Sarvesh, who says that do invite us for this discussion.
Fintech should have 2 aspects. One, business expansion. Second, make life easy to find.
Rucha, you want to take that up? I guess there are a couple of, comments.
Questions.
Yeah. So Pratap says fintech should have 2 aspects. One, business expansion, acquisition. Second, make life easy for bank processor, large OEMs on automation with lean solution. Both addressing end user discussion journey with point solution within compliance boundaries, not by finding ways to bypass. Pratap thinks that outsourcing is the right way of looking at it.
Pratap, might be.
Sorry, go ahead, Umang.
Yeah. So when it comes to compliance, okay, there are some lines that you might not look Christ, but as we discussed when it comes to passport, or we have discussed similar to PAN card, if you are able to control it, specifically in the terms of KYC, since most of the banks are able to control it because it's biometric KYC, which is verified. This is your fingerprint directly being passed out to other. Bank is also not coming into the picture. Although the person there is outsourced, the fingerprint that's taken at the point, neither the outsourced person gets a chance to have a look into it or capture it, nor the bank. It's directly passed on to the UID, and they verify and confirm whether it's the same or not. So if you have those controls in place, yeah, outsourcing is easy for a compliance. But I will just take a pause here and move. There are multiple things from a fintech, especially, which is beyond compliance also. When it comes to marketing, for example, and we were discussing why not do the outsourcing there? And now this outsourcing is also not related just to organizations. You need not just outsource to CS or Infosys. They are outsourcing majority of their marketing to multiple influencers in the market who are individuals, freelancers. So you can outsource few of those items which are non-regulatory, non-compliance related to that segment also. So at the end, you ensure what same point which Ankit was highlighting, that ensure stuff remains with you so that you are rock solid when it comes to there. And everything else, wherever you can save money or you're not an expertise, just find a way if you can outsource, so that at the end customer gets the best experience and you're able to satisfy either the regulator or the large bank of your own.
And just to add to what Umang said, for example, in our business, Mr. General Insurance, and if I can just take health insurance, okay. Now we're in a business of paying claims. You believe it or not, but that's an insurance company, right? We believe, that we are in a business of paying claims. Now, when we are in a business of paying claims, we cannot outsource the claim processing, right?
Absolutely.
And hence our health insurance claim processing is not outsourced. It's in-house. We do not have any TPAs taking care of our customers.
Oh. So Bajaj Alliance has no TPS for claim processing. That's a big one.
Our direct customers that we have, for them the TPA is Bajaj Alliance.
Bajaj Alliance, I see.
Which is an in-house health administrative team, who are Bajaj, people, on-roll people, right? And they process. We have doctors on rolls.
On rolls. So
right. We have doctors on rolls as well. Yeah, absolutely. So they do the processing of claims, right? Because that's our core business, right? And that's our strategy and our philosophy that, whatever is your core, your expertise, you cannot outsource, right? Others, as Umang said, take a call, do that CVA within the compliance framework. Because, for example, from an insurance company standpoint, IRDA does mandate certain processes which cannot be outsourced.
Correct.
Right. So you need to take care. For example, the grievance handling. The final grievance handling, IRDA mandates the insurers to do it in-house. You cannot outsource that.
Your ombudsman, right?
Yeah, the ombudsman, your IRDA grievances and all of that. Yeah, right. You cannot go ahead and outsource it to a BPO, for example, right? Right. So those are within that compliance framework, you basically work around that and you can go ahead and do it.
So if I may structure
right
it,
or wrong.
If I may just break it off, the idea is, and that is true for across regulators, be it RBI, be it IRDA or SEBI, that you can outsource the presence piece of it. You shouldn't outsource the verification piece of it, right? If you can, verify automatically, you can outsource the presence piece, and that is what the example of biometric that Umang was giving. You have just outsourced the meeting, that the customer is meeting the executive. The verification of Aadhaar, the biometric, all is happening automatically, which is completely under your control of your technology. So that fundamentally works, right? That depending upon case to case, you outsource the meeting, and the process itself is automated and within the contours of what the regulation defines.
Absolutely.
Taking that point from Ankit, I'll just highlight the similar way. Because one very specific USP we also ensured that, okay, it's customer friendly, was customer service. So as of now, across the banks, because we are trying to replace the branches on a new banking segment and the customer, but customer service, we found that, okay, even if we have everything available on the app, customer still has the queries. And if I put a bot there, if I outsource that piece, that's not giving a good experience. As of now, what has given us a great success is within 15 seconds, if I'm able to put a person on a chat only who is answering to the customer's queries, that has solved a big way in our customer service and a reason for our NPS above 70. So all our corporate salary employees, they have, even though we have solved everything on the smartphone, you can access it, but they have this urge for a query, and whenever they go for this query, a person is there within 15 seconds and a real person, not a bot. And that's driving our business. So similar HRs and corporates are also very happy. For HRs and corporates are not getting queries from their employees, how to get this checkbook, how to get anything, because that 15-second process is ensured. And that's what driving the growth here.
People are taking checkbooks at these times as well.
Multiple reasons. Largely, one big reason for checkbook is giving it to landlord, and I don't know why all the landlords don't accept NEFT. They still
I don't remember signing a check in so many years, frankly.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, the only reason you use a check today is to provide a cancel check, literally, as proof of your bank account.
Even for that, I have just one check. I've been uploading the same everywhere.
Same, huh? I don't know when was the last time that checkbook came home. It's crazy.
But yeah,
I think Pratap wanted to ask a question.
I think the only challenge which see, human touch is definitely, we cannot replace everything with automation. It is definitely there. The only challenge which most of the industry leaders ask is the scalability. I mean, how scalable is, so when we replace a major institution with something, with the people, right? What we are doing, basically, we are putting the people remote. I mean, how scalable it is. I mean, Ankit, 11 crore merchants, right? How scalable it is to put a command center or a call center which has how many people taking care of that.
So that's where you have to play, actually. So when you're replacing the entire branch network of around 5,000 plus branches on a banking side, large traditional players, you coming as a neobank, how you can ensure that customer service, because that is no one is saying that because you're a neobank, you can have a lesser service or anything on those lines. You have to be above them.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
You have to manage that experience which a branch or a person is giving, plus managing. So if I can just take entire staff from a branch, put it at some place, either at remote or etc., the same banking or etc., this laptop, people just directly respond from a laptop, reducing that one person who was at the branch might not be able to handle that many number of customers. But here, because we have automated most of the things or the problem statements, that person themselves is able to take a call and solve it. Plus, we are not doing a voice call, doing a chat service. So automatically, you're able to serve 10x more customers. But yes, scalability, you will have to employ a good number of people there. But of course, 10x lesser than the traditional bank. And that's what the benefits you pass on to the customer when it comes to fintech or a new banking space.
Now, Umang, as you talk about like you're doing the text chats, not a voice call. So in that case, you already have a plethora of data about what kind of questions customer might ask regarding to which products, right? And up to some extent, you will be able to sample of the most frequently asked questions. Then wouldn't it be more efficient to program a bot based on those questions?
Yeah.
And let the bot answer those questions. In case if a customer derivates away from those line of questions, then in that case, your customer care executives can step in and replace the bot. And that's how you will be able to, if you have increased the productivity by 10x, it will be able to increase it by 20x.
Or maybe 100x. I agree with you on that, Ravi. But the only point is that Ankit's point, where is this your core? If I'm replacing a traditional bank, is that giving a feeling of another person being there for you? Is my core or not? So that's where the entire.
See, frankly, Umang,
people do not rely on new businesses because of they do traditional things better than the traditional businesses. People are more attracted towards new businesses because of their innovation, right? So I remember when ICICI started the banking in India, right? They started providing the cards, basically ATM cards, right? Debit card, credit card. They make you addicted of it. right? At one point in time, to cash withdrawal, you need to fill in a slip or submit a cash. Oh, sorry, submit a check and to get a cash, right? They made it easy. They introduced ATM, right? You just swipe in to access the ATM cabin and then swipe into and provide the passwords and you can withdraw cash. That's how ICICI and HDFC has acquired a bigger market set. Yes, like in tier three, some of the tier two and most of the tier three cities, they have more trust towards bank associated with government, right? But in metros and tier two cities, people are more happy to transact with the banks like HDFC and ICICI, which are very prompt in their service. Today, in case I'm not sure how old are you, so the point is I remember 20 years back in I have to open an account. It was a lengthy process. I have to fill 5 page of form, right, stick my pictures and a lot, and I'm not a very fan of writing, even a hard work, which is why I'm always advocating for the automation. And now it's just a one click deal away, right? You just go put basic details, provide your Aadhaar number and verify it with the OTP, and that's done, right? You need to have a PF account. Just put the money, what kind of, PPF account or maybe an FD account, right? Just put the amount of money which you want to put into that sort of account. One click and that's done, right? So these are the banks became way ahead because they have moved away from the traditional things and they innovated. Right. So I believe new companies replacing old companies by being more innovative, by not doing the same traditional things in a better manner than the previous ones.
So Ravi, I think we got, I think I've not put it very correctly. So if you just check out the new X, it's all about doing intuitively and digitally banking itself. You don't need to do anything. But there is 1% or 10% of a customer who's not that advanced, who's able to intuitively solve what all problem statements are there, because everything is there. So if you just go to our app, you don't need to find out even what are the things are there. It's so intuitively available that banking is simply available, deposits are simply available, lending is very simply available, and even the rewards is simply available there. It's and we have tested everything with users, 100, 150,000 users, what works for them, where they find it easy. Everything is tested there. But still, over a period of time, we have noticed that there is urge every time with few segment of people who wants to reach out to a person. Even though you have solved, there is a FAQs in the form of a search, not even just type page. FAQs are there in the form of a search itself. But still, they have this urge to find a human somewhere. And that's where we are ensuring that, okay, yeah, whenever you need a human, you have it there. And that has resulted over a period of time, we have noticed. And this is all experiments. It's not like one day we took a decision. These are experimented, we have seen, and resulting in an NPS of 70 because of this important algorithm or important piece adding at the last.
See, Umang, if I can just add what you are saying, right? One checklist that I have, whenever I need to take a call on digitization and automation is the first thing I check is, or I ask is this particular step or process repetitive in nature? If it's a repetitive in nature, go ahead and automate. For me, it's a no-brainer. Okay, where you need a unique help, there if you put in the automation, it's not going to work. Right there, right. You have to put in the human mind, which are those exceptions, right? Right. So put that human mind behind those exceptions, not behind those repetitive things, right? Those repetitive things should get automated. It's frankly a no-brainer. The second piece is, one thing which I tell my team is, now everything that you want to digitize, look at humanizing the digital. How can you add the human element in your digital as well? Easier said than done, but if you can do that, your digital also will be like close to human. But again, repetition is the key there. Only do automation, end-to-end automation for repetitive tasks and ask, not for unique stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. And with
we are
this
out of
question,
time.
you've come to the yeah. But a very, very interesting session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, all the participants, also for coming together today and asking us very interesting questions. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a
Rucha.
great
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you so
Take
much.
care.
Yeah,
Bye.
so on behalf of Compass team and Brinalytics, thank you all the thought leaders for joining us, taking out your precious time. Thank you, Mr. Ankit, Chetan, Mr. Umang, Vikrant, Robin, Ravi, and Jay, and Rucha for wonderfully moderating. Thank you, audiences, for making it interesting, putting some interesting stuff on the chat box, and Rucha taking it from there. I shall be sharing the entire video session, and of course, I would be reconnecting you to connect with Compass. So have a nice weekend and take care of yourselves. Thank you so much,
All the
everyone.
best, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ekta.
Thanks, everyone.